You're not going to believe what just came out of Washington because after years of investigations, leaks, cover-ups, and outright lies, James Comey's world is finally collapsing. And the shock isn't just that he's been indicted. It is that Pam Bondi, President Donald Trump's Justice Department, and several GOP senators, they're all saying the exact same thing. This isn't the end. It is the beginning of something much bigger. Now, for the first time, we're now hearing talk of a grand conspiracy case. This is a web that could pull in dozens, count them, dozens of former officials who weaponized our government against the American people. Now, you probably already remember how they sold us the Russia hoax, how they spied on Trump's campaign, how they buried Hillary Clinton's emails and destroyed evidence. Well, now those same names who orchestrated that chaos, they're back in the headlines. And the clock is finally running out for them. James Comey thought he had gotten away with it. He wrote books, he took victory laps on cable news, cashed six-figure speaking checks, meanwhile pretending to be America's moral compass. But today, folks, under President Trump's second term, under a Department of Justice that actually enforces the law, those illusions are gone. The era of untouchables is over. Pam Bondi just confirmed it on live television. Nothing is off the table. So what's coming up next? This could shake Washington to its core. Hit the like button, subscribe, folks. This isn't just about James Comey anymore. This is about the truth that they fought to bury. But Trump just undug that thing. And so by the end of today's video, you're going to see exactly why so many insiders are panicking and why President Donald J. Trump may have just pulled the pin on the biggest political reckoning in modern day American history. So it started like a whisper and then detonated across Washington. The words that no one thought that they would ever hear appeared in black and white. James B. Comey indicted. 2 counts, false statements to Congress, obstruction of congressional proceeding. But for years, the political class swore that this day would never come. They told us, oh, Comey is untouchable. Forget it, right? That the FBI was beyond reproach. That anyone questioning him was attacking democracy. But October 2025, something shattered that illusion. Under President Donald J. Trump's Department of Justice, the man who once accused others of undermining America is now accused of doing something, well, he's accused of doing the exact same thing himself. The same man who stood in front of cameras, wagging his little finger at Trump, telling America that he was the moral voice of law enforcement, he's now the one that's being fingerprinted, mugshotted, and the reaction, disbelief, shock, but also something else, vindication. Because for millions of Americans who actually lived through the Russia hoax, who actually watched their president smeared, spied on, investigated for crimes he never committed, Melania Trump's underwear drawer being sifted through by the FBI, this isn't vengeance. This is balance. The truth always moves slow, right up until it hits you like a freight train. And so now that train has Comey's name written all over the front of it. So the first person to speak after the indictment wasn't a politician or even a pundit. It was Attorney General Pam Bondi. Calm, controlled, but unmistakably serious about this. She went on Fox News and she said something that made the entire political establishment flinch. He's already been charged. Wow. They didn't waste any time, did they? But she went on to say, but nothing is off the table. So that was her way of saying, this isn't the end. It is the beginning. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't gloat, but her words hit harder than any headline. Because Pam Bondi, she wasn't just describing one man's fall. She was signaling the start of a much bigger reckoning. She said, we're not going to leave a stone unturned. And when a sitting attorney general under Trump's DOJ says that on national television, I can promise you it's not just rhetoric. This is intent. Behind the scenes, insiders are calling it phase 1, the first domino. The one that starts a chain reaction through the old guard, the former intelligence officials, DOJ lawyers, and FBI bureaucrats who thought that they would never answer for what they did between 2016 and 2020, if you know what I mean. Well, Pam Bondi made it clear the weaponization of justice is over. Now comes the weaponization of truth. And the silence from Washington tonight, well, that's not peace. That's called fear. Now, you worked hard for your retirement, right? The last thing that you should worry about now is money slipping away because of a bad Medicare plan. But this is what's happening every single day that you don't review it. Premiums rise in the darkness without you realizing it. Coverage shrinks and your retirement savings slowly drains away. Who wants any of that, right? This is why I partner with Chapter. They protect your retirement, the retirement that you earned. Now, one of our viewers, she told me, Chapter made me feel like retirement could be finally about enjoying life, not worrying about medical bills. And I love that. So let me ask you, Do you want to just continue to watch your savings drain away? Or are you going to do what most people are already doing and protecting it? Now, most people, they're dialing the phone number right there at the bottom of your screen, or they're visiting askchapter.org/Ron. That phone number is 909-563-8279. And of course, the service is 100% free for the Ron Yates community. So when you call, give my friends a quick shout out for me and tell them Ron says hello. So when President Trump walked back into the Oval Office this January, he didn't just inherit a broken system. He walked into a swamp that thought it had already beaten him. And what did he do? Well, he replaced the old guard with one mission: justice without politics. So Trump's DOJ is nothing like the weaponized bureaucracy that we saw under Biden. No more witch hunts, no more leaks, no more anonymous sources. Pam Bondi calls it the reset. This is the return to equal justice under law. Comey's indictments, it's not just about punishing one man. No, this is the symbol of a cultural shift. Under President Trump, the Department of Justice, they're not protecting power. It's just protecting the people. And Washington knows that. This is why they're terrified. But as explosive as James Comey news is, it may actually just be the first domino. So former House Intel Chair Devin Nunes, he said this goes way beyond one rogue FBI director. He claims that there's enough evidence, get this guys, to build a grand conspiracy case against up to two dozen former officials, from intelligence operatives to DOJ insiders. They didn't just mislead the public. They fabricated intelligence to justify their war on Trump. This is the same small circle, the same anonymous sources who fed lies to the media and called it fact. And for years, they thought that the truth was just going to stay buried. But now, it's being unsealed. And so every name that Nunes mentioned, they know what's coming next. So I want to rewind here. This is how the whole thing even started. So Comey's 2020 Senate testimony, okay? I know it was a couple of years back, but check this out. Under oath, he swore he never authorized anyone at the FBI to act as an anonymous media source. But prosecutors are saying that that's a lie. Now, the DOJ Inspector General had already proven that Comey leaked classified memos through a friend to pressure the department into investigating Trump. He used the media as a weapon, not to inform, but to manipulate. That's not oversight, guys. That is clearly orchestration. He told America, we did everything by the book. Turns out he wrote the book himself, and now the ending's been rewritten by President Donald Trump's DOJ. So the so-called lawman just became Exhibit A. Senator Lindsey Graham didn't hold back. He said Comey's obstruction wasn't just about leaks. It was about lying to the FISA court, the FISA court, and withholding evidence that could have cleared Trump. Now, I don't know about you guys, but that's massive because the FISA court is supposed to protect civil liberties, not rubber stamp political surveillance. But under Comey's watch, it became a secret weapon. Graham said it plainly. He said, and I quote, "They wanted Trump guilty. And every time evidence showed he wasn't, they buried it." Now, that wasn't incompetence. That was intent. And now those same manipulated warrants and doctored emails are evidence. They're evidence against them. The hunters became the hunted. Now, this wasn't just one bad day at the FBI. This was a pattern. 17 errors, 17 omissions, each one of them conveniently in the same direction against Trump. Now, sure, people make mistakes, but how are they all consistently going the same direction, all against Trump, if they're all mistakes? You see what I'm saying here, guys? One FBI director literally altered an email to erase evidence that could have cleared campaign advisor Carter Page. And what happened to him? Slap on the wrist. Comey buried it and brushed it off as, he just made a mistake. But no one accidentally lies 17 times. Like, how is that an accident? Okay, once or twice, maybe. This was clearly deliberate. This was methodical. This was personal. For years, these people built their careers off deception, and Comey was the ringleader. And so now that the house of cards is finally collapsing, and this time, the fall is public for everyone to see. Because how the media actually treated him, James Comey, the noble truth teller, the guardian of democracy, the man who stood up to Trump, he cashed six-figure speaking fees, sold bestsellers, smiled on late-night TV, while the people that he smeared lost their jobs, reputations, and their families. They made him a saint to sell a lie. And so now they're pretending not to know the guy. Well, CNN, they used to hang on his every word. Now they won't even mention his name unless it's buried behind like 10 other stories. When heroes fall, the silence is deafening. The same anchors who called him honorable, they're now praying that the camera never pans their way. Then came the moment that stunned even the left. on MSNBC, Michael Cohen, yes, that same Michael Cohen, he broke the script live on air. He admitted, I believe likely he will be found guilty. The panel froze. The host blinked like they had just heard blasphemy. Because here is one of Trump's loudest critics finally admitting what millions of Americans already knew. Comey crossed the line. Michael Cohen went even further, revealing sources inside the government who confirmed Comey's fingerprints were all over the early Russia investigation in a very negative way. Now, that one line cracked the entire media narrative, okay? When even your allies stop defending you, your downfall is absolutely coming. It's here. Analysts call it the playback loop. Now, for years, the swamp used the DOJ as a political weapon. Now the tables have turned. Only this time, it is the truth that's pulling the trigger. In fact, the same agencies that targeted Trump, they're now answering to him. But this isn't revenge. This is revelation. Trump's DOJ isn't fabricating crimes. It's uncovering them. And yet the left calls it retribution. They're terrified, not because Trump is abusing power, but because he's finally using it the right way. In fact, the loop's been broken. So what they unleashed in 2016, it's coming full circle in 2025. This time, justice isn't political, it's personal. Now, Pam Bondi is no stranger to controversy. The left spent years dragging her name through the mud over her decisions in Florida. They called her compromised, they called her political, but she didn't run from it. She learned from it. Now, as Trump's attorney general, she's rewriting her own legacy. She's doing it by doing what no one before her dared to do, holding their own accountable. Now, Pam Bondi's calm on camera, but make no mistake, guys, she is a scalpel, not a sledgehammer. Every word deliberate, every move surgical. Her message is simple. The weaponization of justice is over, and this time she's proving it. So here's where the conspiracy gets ugly. According to Devin Nunes, the entire operation, the spying, the fake intel, the Trump-Russia hoax started as a cover-up for Hillary Clinton's missing emails. Now, those emails didn't just vanish. They were buried. Comey's extreme carelessness statement, extreme carelessness. Don't forget the air quotes here, right? That wasn't an accident. That was protection. Protection for Clinton, protection for Obama, protection for the machine. Because if those emails ever saw daylight, half of DC would be gone up in flames. Now, Nunes says the intelligence community used Trump as a distraction, a scapegoat to hide their own corruption. And so now that Trump's DOJ is reopening every file, that firewall is crumbling fast. So here's where it gets downright terrifying for the swamp. During the same MSNBC interview, Michael Cohen quietly dropped a nuclear line. The DOJ has every email, every text message, every communication, every single one. So this means all of the internal chatter, the memos, the encrypted signals, chats, the delete after reading texts, all sitting in Trump's DOJ evidence database. They got everything. Every lie, every leak, every coordination point between the media and the federal insiders preserved. This isn't speculation. It's digital forensics. And if even a fraction of that gets unsealed, it won't just implicate Comey. It's going to expose an entire ecosystem of corruption. This is why Washington's gone quiet, because silence is what panic sounds like in Washington, D.C. So while the media fixates on Comey, Trump's DOJ is moving on multiple fronts. Insiders call it the Accountability Initiative. 4 major probes targeting intelligence abuse, foreign lobbying, election interference, and financial corruption. And it's not bluster. One senior DOJ official told reporters Comey was the first domino. The next fall will shake the whole structure. This isn't about cleaning up. This is about rewriting how justice works in America. Trump promised to drain the swamp. Now he's replacing it with concrete. And so once the dust settles, there's going to be no going back to business as usual in Washington, because this time the swamp's fighting someone who doesn't blink. And so now here we are. James Comey, the man who once called himself the last honest voice in Washington, he stands on the other side of the justice system that he used to control. The irony really couldn't be any sharper. The same FBI that claimed to defend democracy was caught trying to manipulate it. The same elites who shouted, "No one is above the law," is finally learning what those words actually mean. This isn't leverage. This is a reset. This isn't revenge. This is a reset. This is the first real taste of accountability America had in decades. Pam Bondi, she said it herself. Nothing is off the table. Devin Nunes warned dozens more could be next. And now that Trump's DOJ has the receipts, the evidence, the comms, the full paper trail, no one's untouchable anymore. The old order is collapsing in real time. The cover stories are gone, the media shields are cracking, and what's emerging is the truth that they swore would never see daylight. So whether you love Trump or hate him, you really can't deny this. He's doing what no president before him has ever dared to do. Turn the system back on itself, because this was never about one man. It was about a machine. And today, that machine just got exposed. The swamp thought it could rewrite history, but history just rewrote them. So I'm going to go ahead and leave you with this. When truth becomes dangerous, only the brave will speak it. And in 2025, that truth is finally louder than their lies. Like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments, do you think that this is just the beginning? Because from here, from where I'm standing, the reckoning has already begun.